If you have any questions, there are microphones around here at the back.
Please, we would appreciate you position yourself there and they walk to the microphone, please. So kindly, if you have any question, you can kindly line up nicely. We'll also have one here as well. We will pick 3 questions at a time, and then Dr. Seth will answer all of them together. 3 questions at a time.
Okay. Dr. Asafo, God richly bless you. You made mention that when we sleep more than 9 hours, it causes problems for us. So can you throw more light on what happens when we sleep more than 9 hours?
I think 3 questions and then we answer.
Yes.
Okay, Doc, thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel Bonni from Dansuman Love Temple. In your presentation, you indicated that adults need 8 hours, 7 to 9 hours sleep.
Yes.
What about children?
Okay.
John Apiakran is my name. Thank you, doctor. Come again. All right. The question is, there is a practice in gatherings, and possibly it could be here, in churches and meetings. And that practice is that when people find themselves sleeping and they are prompted, immediately they start shaking their legs, or those who can speak in tongues, they start speaking in tongues as if they were. What exactly is being portrayed here? Is it a deception or something activates that automatically? And the way they are laughing, it means we have a lot of experiences here. And then a follow-up. In Philippians 4:8, the Bible talks about whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are noble, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are of good report. If there is anything you have to think about, think on these things. Could it be in the light of this? That's why the scripture is admonishing us in this way. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think I will take the first 2 and I will leave Mama Rita and Apostle General to tackle the last one, since my clearance is not at that level yet. So I want to answer the question about the hours of sleep. So yes, we recommend 7 to 9 hours of sleep for adults. In adolescents specifically, you recommend at least 10 hours of sleep. In newborns into toddler areas, you are looking at 14 to 17 hours, like I explained earlier. For babies, so you know the reason why babies sleep a lot is that every time they sleep, the growth hormone is released. So they need it to grow. In adolescents, there's a funny principle, which is that adolescent circadian rhythm, or their biological clock, is a little different from everybody else. And that's why you have a hard time getting your young people to go to bed. Go and sleep. Then they come. Daddy, did you lock the door? Go and sleep. Daddy, your phone, did it ring? Go and sleep. It's a natural thing for them because their circadian rhythm requires more activity. In a similar fashion, because that is also the stage of a lot of mental activity or mental development, especially because they are learning, they need to sleep to consolidate or to cement the knowledge. Now, if you learn and you don't sleep, you will forget. But when you sleep, you store it. It's almost like you make it compact within the brain, and then you can recall easily. I've seen people who would normally study, they will sleep, wake up, study and write an exam, and then they start writing the exam. And then one word, in fact 2 words that are similar, and one will lock one, then suddenly you cannot continue, and then you are stuck. That's what happens when you are not sleeping. Because during deep sleep, the brain waves that you have, the way they work is that it's almost like we sweep the memory and we put it down. Then we step on it and keep it fit. We sweep the memory, we put it down, we step on it, we keep it fit. So that is what will happen. Then, I've forgotten the first question.
What happens beyond 9 hours of sleep?
Good. So just like your biological clock controls, it's a master system. It controls every other function in your body, okay? If you sleep consistently every day, so normally they say that we split we split our day into 4, okay? We sleep in one quadrant, and all the other 3 is what? Activity. So essentially, it's almost like sleeping 8 hours, and then in all the other zones, what do? You are working. If you oversleep, we have found that it makes it difficult for your body to metabolize because it is confused. Your biological clock becomes confused as to whether it is time for activity or not time for activity. I explained earlier that in the mornings are the best time to work out because your body has an influx of the stress hormone cortisol. Cortisol is what wakes you up. It's the same thing that happens when you take an energy drink. It wakes you up. And when it wakes you up, it is a fertile ground to use up, or the body is ready to use a lot of what? Energy, especially the fats and things in the body for energy. Now, when you oversleep, you confuse that system. So you may start to notice a lot of obesity. And the obesity in itself also comes with inactivity. The inactivity also comes with issues of inflammation. So our biological soldiers, okay, your white blood cells, whenever there's a challenge, they move towards the site of the challenge and they deal with it. Now, when they have to be doing that so consistently, you have too many of them. And because there are too many of them, they start to fight against each other. And that's where the inflammation starts. And that's why sleeping too much is negative. Like we say, there are many things that are good. In excess, they are challenging. Even water. If you overdrink water, it is negative on you. So moderation is 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Thank you. Those who speak the tongues, I don't know. But naturally, it may mean the moment you tap them and they wake up, that means that they're in the first stage of sleep. That is the reality. Because if they get into the second and the third, it will be more than tapping to wake them up. You may have to give them a slap. Even that, it might not wake them up. So it says that they are in that first stage, which is not bad, especially because it can be a power nap. So when you are waking them up, wake them up in love so that the power nap can give them the best.
Thank you. There was a question about whatsoever things are pure, good, think about these. But he says, what time do we do the thinking about these things? What's the appropriate time?
To think about
these things that are good, pure, reflecting on them.
I think it shouldn't be restricted. In fact, if you ask me, it should be every day. It should be all the time. Thinking about whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are pure. I say that we must guard against toxic positivity. Now, toxic positivity is failing to acknowledge the other side of things. So it's almost like even when you are going through a challenge, you can acknowledge that, yes, I'm going through a challenge, but toxic positivity will be like, it's not there. It is there. And if you acknowledge it, then only can you move past it. Like we say, there is no solution without a problem. And if you can't accept that it's a problem, you can't move around it. And this is from our psychological point of view.
Yes, so that is true. The way to think about these things is that let your mind be on those things. Now, simply put, what God is saying is that every day be positively minded. Be positively minded. Every day when you wake up, have hope that it shall be well. In other words, don't fill yourself with so much of despair and discouragement, especially because you heard that a very close friend died suddenly. Then you start thinking about death also. As he said, because armed robbers attacked some people and they told him, he started thinking about that, will it also happen to me? And so on and so forth. So these are the dimensions of thought and the dimensions of thinking. Negatively prone thinking and then positively prone thinking. And this is where church comes in, and this is where the word of God comes in. Tell me anytime you have gone to church that at the end of the sermon, the preacher did not encourage you to be positive, to think, positively, and let your mind always be positive, and know that your God is God enough, and God will help you. Now, how does God do it? And as we said, you sleep, you wake up, and the solution you are looking for, God gives it to you. So those of us who play golf, we also get solutions from the golf course. 18 hours of golf takes you about 3 hours. Number one, walking, 3 hours, 18 holes. 18 holes of golf will take you about 3 hours. In those 3 hours, number one, you are walking in trees and grass, forest area, so the oxygen there is pure and perfect. Number two, you are playing golf, you are solving problems, because golf is about solving problems. You play the golf ball to a corner you don't want, but you need to come out of that corner and then go to where you are going to, and so on. So by the time you finish playing the golf and you come back to the house, you have lunch, and then you go wash and sleep and wake up, you are having solutions, and so on and so forth. And so this conference, for example, Reverend Jifa was bombarding me. What is the theme of the conference? What's the theme of the conference? And now, remember, we have had so many conferences. I've given so many themes, so I don't have to be repeating themes. So now I have to now go back into memory to find out themes that we have had before, and then I have to look at the circumstances in which our nation now is. What is it that I want my church leaders to carry with? So I said, Reverend Jifa, give me some time. Reverend Jifa, I'm telling you the secret. So giving me some time is to let me think positively too. Let me go to the golf course, go and play some golf. Let Mama Rita give me some good massage. Doc, you said it.
Very important.
These meetings are very important.
Oh, yes.
When you have a wife who is nagging, you are finished. But when you have a wife who is very supportive, you are complete.
Oh, yes.
Are you clapping, or you are doing something like clapping? So you saw that when I said you should wait, you didn't have to remind me again for the theme. So when finally the Lord visited me, then I just typed. I said the theme for this conference shall be thinking generationally, because I've had time to put my mind on God, look at what is happening, and so on and so forth, and things like that. So think about these things simply means be positively minded. It doesn't mean that when you are going to bed and then you are thinking. And I love this one. When you write what is on your mind, you don't need to bother your mind, because that time your mind needs to rest.
Thank you so much, Apostle Jerry.
Daddy, some of us, we play the golf on our phones. We have golf apps. Would we get that same feeling?
Never. Never.
Please put your hands together for the Apostle General. All right, please, your name, assembly, straight to your question.
My name is Albert Adolfo, Judah Temple, Dambai. So my question is, the presenter or doctor actually mentioned that as adults, we need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Should it happen that somebody spends only 5 hours to sleep in a day, maybe preparing for exam or a conference of such, and would like to replace the 5 hours the next day? Instead of sleeping 8, I sleep about 13 hours tomorrow because I was preparing for exam.
Awesome.
Do I get same results?
Thank you. Such a powerful question. I'll address it for you.
Clifford Budu, headquarters. Having heard all that we have said, I want to ask from the perspective of the school child in Ghana, what the system could be doing to us. Where, for example, a child wakes up in the morning, very early in the morning, has to rush out of home to the school by virtue of proximity to avoid traffic and all those things. Comes home, and then you have to do your housework, homework, and a few other things. And so goes to bed by 10 o'clock and has to get up the next day around 4 o'clock to rush out. That means that virtually 6 hours. Now, that's question number one. Question number two, recently, I don't know how many of us have seen a video circulating with Chinese children sitting on a particular chair, and at a certain point in the course of the class, they are asked to relax the chair in a certain way, and it becomes like a sleeping something they can sleep. Let's assume that it takes them 30 minutes of that nap. how does it affect this cycle of waking up 4 o'clock and then going and coming to sleep at 10 o'clock daily?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. My name is Fidel Black. I'm representing Trust of the Lord Assembly, Committee 18. Doctor, I have come to learn that diaphragmatic breathing is a hack. I want to know if there's a hack for keeping us awake intermediately. And if so, what are the challenges with it? Thank you.
That diaphragmatic breathing is a hack. And if there's, a hack for keeping us awake.
Yes.
Oh, good question. Okay. So let me start from, when it comes to sleep, sadly, you cannot front load sleep. You see, you cannot front load sleep. And I will create an analogy. My car takes 60 liters of fuel. Okay? I have a whole tank of 2,000 liters at home. Can I put oil in the car at once? That's what sleep is. The sleep architecture is that you can't front load sleep. The reality, however, is your body will still try to make up for the sleep, except that it won't give you the same benefits that you need. So there was a recent study that found that when, for example, you have been sleep deprived for a long time, the process of undoing the damage that has been caused by the deprivation, if it took you 2 weeks to be sleep deprived, the process of changing or ameliorating it will take you 2 years. So prevention is better than cure. Then comes to the educational system. I agree with you. I mean, we are part of the advocates who say school should start at 8 a.m. rather than the usual 6, to allow for sleep and alertness. Sleep and alertness. So I have a number of students who live very far away from their school. So basically, because mommy and daddy have to be at work at 6, they drop junior at 5:30, and there's nobody in school. And then they will now pick junior and take junior to work, and then stay there till about 7. And when they come home, so it is not the best. It is a difficult situation, but if you are still within that scope, able to manage. So we talk about the fact that in as much as the ideal is 7 to 9 hours, be careful not to drop it a little too much. Naturally, as you grow, your need for sleep will decrease. So many of us, by 45, 50, may not intentionally get that amount of sleep. And I use the word intentionally because you have to now make it purposeful to sleep. When you are younger, you fall down, you are gone. You wake up and you are okay. As you grow, there are many competing interests. And these competing interests means you have to plan sleep into your day, or you may never sleep. So you have to be a little more intentional. And the same thing happens for being intentional with kids. Now sometimes people say, but on the weekends, we should be able to sleep a little further. We say you are disrupting the sleep architecture. You are disrupting your your circadian rhythm or your biological clock. Because if on the weekends alone you sleep at 12, you are confusing your brain when it gets to Monday. So keep it as regular as possible. Yes.
And then the question about the Chinese kids.
Rest is an integral part of the human functioning. And I mentioned that if you look at our circadian rhythms, it goes into a high and then it dips at a point, which is around 2 p.m. I don't know if it synchronizes with that, but I remember back in high school, they used to tell us to go for siesta. At the time, it was 45 minutes. Now, I don't know what it is, but I never slept during siesta. It's not a bad thing. However, if you use that tool, it might be helpful to allow the brain to also to reset and get the body generally to calm down. Let's not forget that the number of stimuli around us that open us up to feeling stress and thereby activating our stress response are endless. And maybe that period of stress might be a moment within all the chaos to feel a little calm. Yeah.
There was a final question about the diaphragmatic breathing as a hack.
You cannot ask for sleep hack. We don't know anything like that. We don't know anything that you can put in place of sleep. People have tried things like meditation. And when I talk about meditation, I'm not referring to spiritual meditation. Now, from a psychological point of view, even anytime you are focused on music, you are listening to the lyrics and you are in tune with the lyrics, that is a form of meditation. In a bigger context, we call it mindfulness. So you are being mindful, you are paying attention to one thing, and that specific thing prevents your mind from wandering. I do not know any way in which you can hack sleep. All I know is that as for sleep, you don't even want to tempt it, because Guinness, who like world records, they like someone who will jump, almost kill themselves, break sound barrier with their body. But if you want to deprive yourself of sleep, they say no. Now, in many military trainings, the way they distinguish between the strong and the not strong is to deprive them of sleep consistently. So to give them about 2 or 3 hours of sleep weekly, and then suddenly give them an intellectual task to do. And they find that majority of them will fumble, because the brain is not in that place. It needs the sleep in order to be able to do the things that it does. So sleep seems to be the foundation upon which even exercise and diet are built. People think it is food. You can deprive yourself of food and live longer than depriving yourself of sleep. So just to put it in context. Good.
Thank you. You can sit down. There are no more questions. Our time is up. But let me quickly touch on the rest.
Yes, please.
He tried to differentiate between sleep and rest. For my understanding is that rest is breaking away from the norm, breaking away from the normal daily routines. And so if you are used to practicing law and you go to the court and the office and you are always on your computer and you are working, rest simply means that breaking away from that norm and doing something recreational. And for people like us in a country like Ghana, I would suggest that the rest will involve activities like you, your wife, your children taking a walk. This is a very beautiful environment. Take advantage once you are here. Do some walking, prayer. If you come in you live in an area where there are a few trees and there's a garden, go and walk under the trees and then inhale good oxygen and break away from the norm. You know, if you can just do that, it will help you. And then if you also can take a break away once a year, twice a year, 3 times in the year, over 3 days, change environment. You move from your house to a friend's house, you and your family, and then you go and spend the weekend and then do cooking together, eating together, chatting together, praying together. It's a break from the norm. If you are blessed and you have the money, there are places in Ghana that you can break away. You can break away, come and hide here at Shiloh. You can break away, go and hide at Aqua Safari, which is just there. And then there is the other one at a Bri side, Safari Valley. That's quite expensive for the up class people. But if your money cannot reach there, there are other simpler ones. What are the simpler ones there? City of Shiloh. And where? Holy Trinity. Holy Trinity is on a high for high people. You know, and then see, you have no idea what it means to pay a visit to some of our remotely placed churches. Pardon me to use the word, our village churches. But I'm simply saying that the remotely planted churches. Now, Swedru, you'll be amazed when you go to Swedru, even though it is a city town, there are other suburbs of Swedru where it is very quiet, where the food there is fresh, and if you can get some guest house, bed and breakfast guest house, it may not be as nice as Accra, but it's a break for you. It will help you. Which of our churches? Is it Wasa? You have been to Wasa? Okay, so she has been to Wasa. I hear our church at Wasa is a farming area. It's a farming area. You go there, you check into one of the cheapest bed and breakfast hotels, and then you have an opportunity to walk around, to travel around, to eat fresh contomere and to eat their fresh food. It will be very, 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 very helpful. And then those of you who are blessed and you have the money, you can travel out of the country. Then you go and take your visa and go to your UK and go to your America and go to your Switzerland and so on. By the time you come and you break away from the norm, you will notice that you would have rested enough. Doc, I don't know whether you want to add something to it. There are simple ways by which you can rejuvenate your systems.
It is true. The reality is our brains get used to environment. And as it gets used to the environment, it picks up certain things that it uses to remind you of things. So for example, in Accra traffic, you see some notice board and it reminds you of some problem you have. On the other hand, when you leave an environment you know, and you go into a new environment, because your brain is picking up new things, it is writing onto your brain. So it doesn't need to think about the usual things that what it does. I tell people when you take a vacation, take a lot of pictures. The pictures can put you back into that place. So that when you are stressing out, you take your phone, you watch those pictures when you went to that village, when you were sitting by that water body. And suddenly you feel that relaxation that you felt when you were there. So thank you very much, Pastor Jerome.
Hello, people of God. This is Reverend Papa, and I'd like to specially invite you this and every Friday to prayer, miracle, and prophetic service right here, Royal House Chapel. Every Friday, we are lifting up prayer. It's a time of worship. It's a time of the prophetic. You don't want to miss out at all. I will be there with other sons of the Apostle General, and it's going to be a wonderful time in the presence of God. The Bible says, "Be anxious for nothing, but by prayer and supplication, lift up unto God." Join me this and every Friday. It's prayer, prophetic, worship, and a wonderful time with miracles. 6 p.m. every Friday. I'll see you there. God bless you. I don't like your clap offering. If you want Dr. Seth Asafo, just go on social media, type his name. Everything will come out. If you want private consultation, you can book through social media. For the senior pastors here who would want him in your church on stress management, depression, anything on mental health or mental sickness, you could call either the power line numbers on the screen. You can call me, or you can call Reverend Chief Ape, and we would hook you up with Dr. Seth. If you missed any of the topics on Powerline TV, Family Life with Mama Rita, on mental health, you can go back. He said so much, so much on mental health, and we've really been blessed. So you can go back to Powerline TV, Instagram with Apostle General. Go back and listen to all the messages and all the presentation on mental health, and it will help you. For Powerline TV, we have one more with Dr. Seth on Ask Mama Rita. There are a lot of questions from our WMG camp that we want to finish up. So after the sleep disorder, we will come again with Dr. Seth Asafo to answer all the questions on mental health. Until then, I will see you same time, same day next week. God bless you.
Hello, people of God. This is Reverend Papa, and I'd like to specially invite you this and every Friday to prayer, miracle, and prophetic service right here, Royal House Chapel. Every Friday, we are lifting up prayer. It's a time of worship. It's a time of the prophetic. You don't want to miss out at all. I will be there with other sons of the Apostle General, and it's going to be a wonderful time in the presence of God. The Bible says, "Be anxious for nothing, but by prayer and supplication, lift up unto God." Join me this and every Friday. It's prayer, prophetic, worship, and a wonderful time with miracles. 6 p.m. every Friday. I'll see you there. God bless you.